give a damn, damn, damn. Got my pocket full of sand, sand, sand. I don't really give a damn, damn, damn. You can read it in my hand. I don't really give a damn, damn, damn. Got my pocket full of sand, sand, sand. I don't really give a damn, damn, damn. You can read it in my hand. I don't really give a damn, damn, damn. Got my pocket full of sand, sand, sand. I don't really give a damn, damn, damn. You can read it in my hand, hand, hand. Oh, I don't really give a damn, damn, damn. Got my pocket full of sand, sand, sand. I don't really give a damn, damn, damn.
Hello, and welcome back to Polished Season 2, Episode 1. I'm so glad to be back, and I've only been gone a week, but I couldn't hardly stand it. So you guys know how much I love you all. And so hello, everybody. Welcome in. My name is Jenlyn Ford, and I am the founder of Uniqua New Beauty Norm, and I am also an editor-in-chief of Iconoclastic Magazine. I am a 4-time best-selling international co-author, and let's see, we could go on with the accolades. Currently, I will mention that I am in the top 10 finalists of the World Changing Women awards ceremony being held in London. So I'm really excited to be being a part of that. I'll be talking about that a little bit in the next coming weeks. And I wanted to say thanks to everyone for calling and checking on me and reaching out about with my shoulder and seeing how I was doing post-surgery. And it has been a little rough, but here I am and I'm feeling really good. So I appreciate all of you so much for doing that. For those of you who have not been here before, welcome in. And for those of you that have, welcome back. I have 2 very special guests today. One most of you know, and her name is Nick, and she is with Guiding Brilliant Writers, which is an amazing publishing company. She was the Pinnacle Publisher Award winner in my award ceremonies last year during the Neuroglamming Summit. And so super excited to have her back always. And then we have a very, very special guest, a wonderful young writer that I'm so super excited to have and to be part of this wonderful, beautiful project. It's The Silent Canvas, psychological thriller, my favorite genre. I love it so much. So without further ado, I'm just going to bring them both up. How about that? Is everyone ready? Throw me some hearts out there in the comments and show some love as I get them both pulled up and ready to go. Right, here we go, Nick, and here we go, Jack. Hi, welcome in. How is everyone today?
Jack, it's so great that Jenlyn is having us on today. I'm so excited, not only for this launch of this psychological thriller, but just to introduce the author Jack to everyone out there. It's been incredible working with him behind the scenes. I am enthralled with this manuscript. I have my husband listening because he's not a big reader, so I'm reading to him, and he is also hooked. And that says everything to me about somebody that is putting a story out there. And, thrillers are one of the bigger genres. And so this could be very competitive. And I'm sure it is every author's dream to, not just grab onto their reader, but have them wanting to come back for more. I tease a lot in the promotional post that this book is the one that you want to look at, but you want to run from at the same time. And to me, that is huge. So I introduced the world to Jack, but Jack to the world. And I hope the goddamn world is ready for this.
I think they are, aren't they? So Jack, what is, and this is going to be just the one-off question, unexpected question. What has been your favorite part about this process for yourself so far?
Wow. Well, thank you for having me, and it's been quite a great journey. That is a terrific question, and it is a very thought-provoking one. Really, the most exciting, or I guess thrilling part of this journey for me is just going back into a subject matter that I really love. You know, I started off in college as a psychology major. Dr. DeWitt, I gave him so much credit. He introduced me to abnormal psychology, and it just became, it's going to sound odd, but a love affair ever since. So even though these issues for people obviously are serious, but in the fantasy world around fiction and psychological thrillers, we get to have a little bit of fun and go into the depths of real life challenges and traumas, but also bring to life these characters that probably all of us can relate to in one way or another.
That's my favorite part, honestly, is looking and reading and really sitting with these characters, really sitting with myself, and just the humanity of it all, I think, is the scariest part of it, period. Is just the simple fact that really it could be any of us, any one of us. Is just I'm a survivor of a violent crime,
Oh,
and so it can be that any one of us can fall victim to, and it can also be that we're all just that one little thing away from actually becoming the perpetrator, right? At the end of the day,
yeah.
because it's all just a beautiful part of being human.
So true. Well said.
Thank you so much. And then just understanding, what it is. So I have a little bit about your vision and your mission here. And I love that you said through relentless storytelling and psychological depth, I aim to redefine fear, making my name synonymous with gripping, spine chilling literature. And that, my God, that sentence is so exciting to me. It gives me the goosebumps because, man, what a beautiful vision and goal that you have.
Yeah, you know what? That is quite a vision and goal, and I think this. I really feel convinced that this particular book, The Silent Canvas, is going to do that for readers. It delves into so much psychological, spiritual, supernatural horror. You're really not exactly sure. It's deliberately confusing. It brings in elements of past trauma, the antagonist's obsession, and his craziness, really, right? He's narcissistic, he's antisocial, he's got psychosis. He creates in the main character Natalie. He creates dependent creation, and that's just where it starts.
I love it. I love it. And that actually led you into, even though Silent Canvas is the one that we're mostly talking about today, that naturally already is led into a trilogy for you. Is that right?
That is correct. It's going to follow the story all the way to a very interesting, possibly climactic ending of the whole thing. But that's right. It is a trilogy, and so much to come.
Ooh, I love that so much. When you're coming out of the chute with a new project that just naturally bleeds and grows into this beautiful thing. It's something extraordinary. Nick actually, right, did that with for herself last year, which I was an author in one of the books of that trilogy, and it was amazing. And all at once, right, that it just poured through from her. and through all of us as authors, as co-authors. And it was just amazing. So I'm super excited for you. And Trilogy can certainly, I think, help catapult you into the stratosphere. What about you, Nick? Right, like with your experience there last year and how that affected things for you.
Oh goodness, I think that that was one of the main reasons why I felt that I was ready for this, that I was ready to take this entrepreneurial shift. I remember my husband telling me during that 6-month project, well, after you know, launch this simultaneous trilogy, everything's just going to be easy and downhill from there. And you would think so, but every book launch is custom.
Mm-hmm.
It's a custom marketing, even the formatting and the book cover and such like that is custom as well to what's happening. I am especially grateful to Jack because he's my first solo author launch as my company, and for me that is significant. It's also significant that my previous books were motivational, inspirational, about legacy, and the trilogy was about this LinkedIn platform that was my springboard, really, for becoming the gifted bipolar writer and then my business. The fact that I am kicking off with a psychological thriller has me tickled pink, and pink is my worst color. It's just like the universe giving me opportunities, but throwing these challenges at me that, if you really want this, then you got to go hard, and you got to go real hard for your clients. And even 100 times better was the fact that when he came to me, it's like, yeah, this is going to be 3 parts. I'm like, what? This it's the perfect scenario. It's a perfect scenario for both of us. I am so damn excited for what's coming. And anyway, after the show, I will be putting out the event for the launch party on Saturday at 11. So I invite you all to come because there's going to be something very special going on there. There's going to be a gift coming out for 12 copies of the print. Okay, it's going to come out to 12 lucky ducks in the audience from Guiding Brilliant Writers. You will get a complimentary paperback copy when the paperback comes out.
I love that. I love that so much. I was looking earlier thinking, I was like, I got to figure out some way to have some like celebratory things that can come up and clapping applause sounds because I just love it so much. And I think that's incredibly exciting, Nick. I hope to be there and I hope to win one. Are they going to be autographed?
We'd have to ask Jack that. Wouldn't it be something if it can be autographed by the author and the publisher?
Yes. I think
I think that's something I could probably convince Jack to do.
Absolutely.
Oh, how exciting. You guys heard it here on Polished first. Author and publisher.
Yes.
How amazing is that? Yes. So exciting. Jack, let's you mentioned some, psychology and stuff in college. And so what psychological concepts and mental disorders inspire your characters and plots?
Yeah, it's a great question. I find that the psychological concepts that work well with the readers are ones that readers can relate to almost every day. We all have trauma, possibly multi-generational trauma that's passed from one generation to the next. All of us, likewise, or often at times, I should say, have what I call the fragile mind. It could be depression, it could be other forms of doubt, or even self-hatred. Sometimes we see in our neighbor, our coworker, narcissistic personality, a narcissistic tendency. Sometimes we see the person that raises an eyebrow and we wonder, is that an antisocial personality? And then the most perplexing of all, the psychopathy, the sociopath, the psychopath, psychosis, someone talking to themselves in the parking lot. It just makes you wonder, what is that person going through? What's happening there? Those are the main concepts and themes that run through this book, but in general, generally inspire my characters.
They are terrifying, right? It's that part that's terrifying within ourselves and that we've seen. Who hasn't seen somebody in the parking lot talking to themselves and just, kind of, you have empathy for them, but at the same time, you're like, just keep walking. Just, keep walking, right. Don't make eye contact, right? Maybe because it can be incredibly dangerous. And I see you kind of laughing, Nick. So I feel like there's an experience there for you that you're...
Because I think that, we've all been there. And that's the thing with these, stories, no matter the genre, there's always something to resonate with, right? Mm-hmm. I am that person walking in the parking lot going, how did I park? I'm setting off my alarm and I can't hear it. and that, I think, is the draw, right? You really you don't know. Listen, you're looking at me. I'm a sweet girl with my little freckles and stuff. I could be a complete nut job. Wait, I am a little bit, but that's the whole thing, right? This is fiction, but it is also reality. Mm-hmm. This is what we live every single day. These things written about in a paranormal way, in a way that really twists your mind and challenges you to think beyond what your experiences are. There is growth in such books. Somebody might say, oh, no, I'm not reading that. The thing is, I had a conversation earlier on Mind Over Matter I was on with Leslie Echoes that also it's every Monday at 10, and I was having that conversation that I don't block myself or from learning from anyone or anything.
Yeah.
I am a very much give everything a try at least once. Make an informed decision based on an experience you've had. And, the day of launch, the ebook, which I have to tell you as a publisher, kills me. I know a lot of people tend to do free launches on launch day of the ebook to drive sales. And yes, sales are going to help Jack rank up. I'm a publisher, but I am a very flippin' transparent one. Yes. And so, yes, we need those. We need you to step up and help rank him up there. But this is not a free launch. This is a 99 cents launch. And the work, the heart, the struggle that goes into these types of literary works, the vulnerability to expose oneself to certain degrees, I think that it demands and commands respect. I feel that if I truly wanted something or wanted to support someone, 99 cents is not standing in my way. I can tell you that much.
No, right.
So, and again, I am that crazy, very transparent publisher.
No, I absolutely agree. I don't believe in free work. I don't give free gifts. Once you are in and we're working together, I am a freebie giving fool. But working for free, is not something that helps the economy systemically or any of those things. So I think it's really great and wonderful. And I think it's part of investing in someone and really showing someone that you care enough to invest in them is, by doing that. So, Jack, I'm going to pull you back in the conversation again, just a little bit. We were talking about, the difference between supernatural horror and psychological horror. So do you prefer a blend or do you do one or the other? And if so, why?
Yeah, I do prefer typically a blend. I think the psychological aspect typically lasts longer. The effects
Mm,
on a reader typically last longer for the things that you and Nick just spoke about. If you see something that shouldn't be there, you hear things in the middle of the night, you are walking to your car late night in a dark parking lot by yourself, the fear of the unknown is frankly much scarier than what you could see or what is there. And I think
mm,
supernatural relies heavily on sometimes jump scare, sometimes ghosts and demons and things, but often what's in our own mind, the psychological, is far more terrifying. And if you can
mhm.
blend the two together, then you likely can have a masterpiece. The psychological comes before the unveiling of the actual
Yeah.
supernatural horror. It's more the implied, and it builds up in a crescendo and a wave and hits you, and then all of a sudden you really are consumed wholly by
Yeah.
its content.
Yes. I love that too because everyone's experience of it is different because of it being such a personal experience based on our own biases, our own mental health, wellness, or lack thereof, right? And so it pulls everyone in. But I am a big time psychological imply what is happening is much more terrifying, where what's happening, it's been implied enough, but I don't think you always have to go into all the gory details of something. I much rather myself have that, just the psychological, oh my god, and then right as it would be fixing to get really gory, it sweeps away into
Imagination.
yes, yes,
Leave something to the imagination and to the
yes,
interpretation of the reader. I
yes.
love that tactic.
Me too. Me too. So, have you been practicing, Jack? Like, did you, practice your art? Or are you just in the form of, practicing now? And is it a lifelong kind of thing for you?
Yeah, it certainly the subject matter of psychology is a lifelong endeavor, love affair. I probably, like so many other people, have a guilty pleasure addiction to the Dateline type shows,
Mm,
uh, even though there's obviously personal tragedy involved in that. But it's something more. It's why does an individual, what happens to an individual, a family, the uncovering of that, whether it be the
mm,
trauma or the after effects, and what can we learn from it? How can we improve society? Of course, that goes with that. An interesting concept that I think is relatively new. When I was young and younger, you didn't really hear the phrase gaslighting, and
mm,
along those lines, didn't really hear the phrase love bombing, right? But these days, it seems to be a far more common known
mm,
psychological manipulation, and that's something that happens quite a bit. Uh, the main antagonist, Ulrich, in the Silent Canvas, he uses that principle or that concept quite often, and he's lethally good at it. And he
mm.
himself, psychiatrist, and he does that
Cool.
frequent texting and makes the love interest Natalie feel like she's the only one, and builds up this nest or web of security. And in the end, she's really left not only to doubt herself and her own trauma and psychological fragility, but also has to fight him off, and that then becomes, even compounds the issue.
Yeah. I think that that's something that also I love, is that you're going deep into the thought process of each character and all of the characters, right? And it's a reminder that we may not necessarily be in 100% control of ourselves because of our brains and the chemical processes in them and the neuroscience and things. At the same time, we know what it is that we are thinking internally. We know that we are having a war about wanting to do something or not. We know that if we are going to tell a lie, that we've thought about it for a moment first, and sometimes that can be really helpful to realize that, especially if you're someone that happens to be in that kind of a relationship. So I don't know if that's something that you've really thought about, but for me, I think that I just feel like how many potential people are going to read this book and start asking questions, start realizing the life that they're living, and realizing maybe the person that they keep, giving a little bit too much grace to, right? Or excusing behaviors and things. It just helps be able to understand. I know I was one of those people, as part of what I went through. And so I know now, when on the other side of all of that, when I read books and things of this nature, it is a good reminder to me, right, that we're all conscious still. No matter what the action is that we do or do not choose, we're all conscious of the thoughts that are in our minds and the actions that we're taking, for the most part,
Do you mind if I interject?
Yeah.
You see, I'm loving this conversation, and a couple of reasons. So, people, they launch a book, they talk about the title, they talk about their vision for the book, they talk a little bit about the meat of the book, and then the book just drops away. So, here's this thing, right? Keeping something like this alive, I feel the reader, like Jenna says, you challenge the status quo. You start to challenge yourself, your thoughts. Could you see yourself as this woman, as this man? And the other night, my husband and I were watching, I believe it's Griselda. I forgot I can't remember her name. That Spanish actress that's on America's Got Talent. She's a judge. I forget. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So she acted the part of Griselda, and she's this like badass drug lady. And she to me was one of those villains that you hate but love.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
Like you actually almost feel sad when the bad person dies, and you're like, but they killed so many people. But I think that there is an innate human trait in all of us, whether or not we want to admit it really.
Mm-hmm.
And for some, it's more exposed or more developed, if you will, right? But we tend to like to live on that edge of fear, or that desire for adrenaline, especially bipolar. But it brings this out. Do you know that romance is the biggest selling genre? It tells you how much people desire that fairy tale type of love.
Mm-hmm.
Thrillers are the second. So what does that tell you?
Yep.
It's okay to say that we want to talk about how much we desire this fairy tale love. What is it that we don't want to say that we desire so much? And going deep dive into a psychological thriller. Are we willing to say why?
Yeah, I love that. And that's a perfect segue, actually, Jack, for into the next question I wanted to ask you. And what themes or fears do you want to explore as you are when you're writing and as you continue to go forward at this moment? What are certain conditions or certain supernatural specific things that it is that you're drawn to?
Yeah, well, when sticking to thrillers for a moment, and then
Okay.
we'll go to the second part of that, as both of you, such brilliant ladies, have said, that psychologically, these type of thrillers, they bore into your senses, right? They kind of tunnel into your brain, a deep-seated fear, and there are ideas around that, such as just losing control of your mind, the fear of being trapped, isolation. You see these in other great famous works, movies, books, in history. But these things to me are the types of fears that go well past once the final page is read and the book's put away. Whether it be the fear of mental deterioration, we see that with the elderly, we see that with
Mhm.
our loved ones, just questioning, where did I put those keys? And then why am I forgetting more and more? The idea of even amnesia or just struggling to remember. And when your sense of identity is lost, that alone is psychologically terrifying, even if
Yes.
there's not a thriller around it. Then if you add external manipulation, if you add external sinister, nefarious, dark forces, now you have something truly inescapably terrifying.
Yes, yes. And it's there was two things I wanted to say to that. My wife just yesterday, right? She's fixing to she'll be 49 this year, and she's like, I can feel myself, extra hyper aware. She's like, I'm slowing down. My reflexes are slower. I'm more, constantly like, what was I doing? And where did I put that? Like you said, and putting things in the safe place, and then the safe place just consumes them. That you never find them again because you don't remember where the safe place was. And then there's the question of, well, where is the safe place, and how could the safe place consume what it is that we'll never find because we looked for it and looked for it and it's gone, right? So there are so many things there that are so interesting. And I don't think they don't have to be, but they have become normal parts of life, and of aging. And so is that something that you find interesting in particular? Just like those, taking those things that seem innocent and then pulling your reader into a little bit deeper about what it looks like when it really turns into something deeper.
It is to me a fascinating subject, and I find even maybe greater than that, uh, what many would call the monstrosity or the monster within. And
Mhm.
you a few moments ago, talked about that we are such on a perilous, fragile edge of we could be the perpetrator of a crime or we could be the victim of a crime.
Yeah.
And we biblically, spiritually, we all know thou shalt not kill. It's a Ten Commandment. That said, many soldiers have had to go to war and they've been asked to kill. And so, how does that happen, right? How do we, as
Mhm.
innocent children, babies, grow up and face such a sinister, dark world? And the monster within, mixed then, of course, with external forces and many great literary geniuses and great giants of their time have asked that question: is it something external? The Bible says so. Or is it just in our upbringing? Are we fighting the nurture versus nature? Are we fighting trauma passed down from mom and dad and their mom and dad? So it becomes a very chilling question. How do we fight the monster within?
Mm. It does. And I think that I think it's repetition.
Mm.
It's they say that there's two ways that we learn. I hear this a lot, and it's trauma or repetition. And my argument is that it's straight up the repetition. It is whatever you are experiencing repetitively. It will break you down. It will turn you inside out. It will spin you sideways. It will chew you up. It will spit you out, and it will recycle you and do it all over again. Right? Like when it is. That is psychology. That is the psychosis of our and the cycles of our minds. I find that when I'm reading something that's just extra, wow, you just have to stop and put it down for a second, and you have to really sit there and think about it. Those are my favorite kind of books because there's this one little sliver of, ooh, I just really saw myself in that. Right. And then why did that happen? Right. And what is it that, stuck there? Because when something's sticky, it's sticky. Some of us, I think, have, I think to sit with a book and also to create it, we've been through some things. That's my personal opinion. So I'm curious just a little, what drives you? What's the sticky thing for Jack? What's the sticky part?
Yeah, that is a tough one to answer, and I think I've given that a lot of thought. What I would call creates stickiness within your genre, your thriller, whatever it might be, right?
Mhm.
And I truly believe in my heroes, the Stephen Kings,
Mhm.
and a book like The Shining, which I've talked at length about, might even be a connection to my name potentially.
Yeah.
I find that it lingers with you. In the case of The Shining, you're talking 45 years ago. In the case of Edgar Allan Poe, you're talking 200 years ago.
Yeah.
Imagine, when we think of greats of any art, the greatest artists probably ever are the classical artists in music. We still listen to their music 300 years after their death.
Yeah.
Same thing with great literary fiction or nonfiction. We definitely are hit by their meaning and their impact long after the accolades, the acclaim is gone, and maybe even after they're gone. And we often realize, wow, that is quite a book or quite a work of genius. So I think, it's really about the characters. It's about enveloping the reader to show some of the psychological scars that we all have. I think the great success between a horror thriller combo is really the ability to captivate, horrify, sicken, even repulse, and yet leave the reader wanting to ravenously consume more.
Yeah.
And so I think if you have that, great horror doesn't just entertain, it invades, right? It really
Mhm.
creeps into your unconscious mind. It basically takes over your sanctuary of safety. Whether it be your living room, your bedroom, nowhere is safe. The story becomes a predator. It
Mhm.
stalks you in the dark. It's relentless. And my goal is to do just that, ensnare you, trap you, and make you think about it long after it's over.
Oh, I can't wait. I cannot wait to get my copy of this book signed by both of you. I'm so excited.
I am excited too. There were how do I put this? It's kind of scary when you consider yourself a writer and you struggle for words sometimes, right?
Mhm.
Um,
All the time.
Yeah.
all the time.
I feel like there is a need for any creative person to express themselves. Um, the world, and I say this when I say the world, I mean people in the world. Some people in the world may not be ready for it, may not feel that they derive any value from it, but there will always be those that do. And I can't imagine a world without creativity.
Hmm.
And so even if I can't embrace certain types of creativity, I embrace people who are creative, period. And I feel that, I afford them that respect simply because they are courageous enough to take that step,
Hmm.
right? And many are afraid to um, allow themselves to go there.
Oh yeah. You may have noticed, right, when I was promoting for today, that I said I'm always anybody that will listen, you should face a fear every single day, because we brain, how we train, that's a fact. And so if we're not facing fears, we're not building resilience, we're not building the ability to know how to learn how to build courage, we're not learning things about ourselves and or the world around us. It's such an important part. And so I said, if you haven't faced a fear and you want to face a fear, come listen to this talk today, because reading is a wonderful, beautiful way to explore all those things about yourselves and others safely, even though it may feel like it's not safety, right? Because, like Jack so beautifully said, it 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 can violate that safe space. It comes into that safe space, and you invite it in, right, Jack? When we pick up the book, we invite it in, and that's part of the thrill part of it. I think, like you were talking about, Nick, like, is that we are so enthralled in it that we want to put it down, but we can't put it down. But we don't want to not be able to put it down, but we don't want to not be able to pick it up either, right? So it's kind of taking you on this really great, wonderful, powerful journey. So I'm going to ask a question of Jack, and then while Jack's answering, anybody out in the audience, we want to hear from you. Do you have a question for Jack? What is your opinion on psychological thrillers? Do you have a favorite author? Any best wishes for Jack? Like anything at all, just throw them out in the comments so we can see, and we'll throw them up to Jack. And so the question that I want to ask you now is, you kind of hit on it a little bit, but what was the very first book that you picked up that was a psychological thriller that pulled you in, that's been stalking you all this time and helped birth what it is that you're birthing right now?
Wow. Well, it's tough to narrow down to one. I would say it's many works from Edgar Allan Poe. The Most Dangerous Game. I was really young when I read that, and I think in those formative years, when you're so young and you read something that may be inappropriate slightly because you're not ready to handle some of the terrifying horror that's in those writings, and of course the Shining. And I do think The Shining is terrifying. I think the movie is even more terrifying. And I saw that movie as a freshman in high school and was not prepared for what I
Yeah.
saw. And it literally kept me up for weeks. I could not stop thinking about Danny, the son. I couldn't stop thinking about Jack, the just horrifying father, and the trauma, the the existence, that just what Wendy had to go through in that hotel, being all isolated in those mountains, snowed in. That thought to me, it just makes it. People say tingles down their spine. To me, it makes my whole body a tingle, but not in a good way, just in a terrified, oh my goodness, that is scary as hell kind of way. Silence of the Lambs to me is a different kind of thriller, different type of horror, because there are people in the world like the great Dr. Lecter and the guy that he captures with Clarice,
Yeah,
which is
wow.
Buffalo Bill.
Yeah.
And, we saw that even in the time of Silence of the Lambs with Jeffrey Dahmer, Ted Bundy. These were all late 80s, early 90s characters. John Gacy, these were all characters, and it's just so odd that in a universal way, their presence played out on a wicked stage in that time frame in the 70s, 80s, early 90s, that these monsters were caught and were studied like lab rats, but they were studied. And yeah, just the type of domination, control, manipulation, all of the psychosis that all of those characters in their different ways exhibited, and yet have some commonality, is it really is mind-blowing. And in this book in particular, you see a character that doesn't just want to manipulate, he wants to erase. He wants to literally stomp her out and erase her. And in her fight for survival and self-discovery, she has to not only overcome everything in her past, but she has to overcome someone who portends to love her and yet is secretly trying to destroy her. And that's really the ultimate worst kind of betrayal, right? You think you have a confidant, you have a supporter, an advocate, and behind the back, they're not just trying to get your job. They're not just trying to get your girlfriend, boyfriend, what have you. They're trying to get your life, or to completely stomp you out, just for their own disgusting game. So those are the things that bring me back, wanting more to investigate the shadows of the psyche, how these different types of folks. And in the case of a doctor like this doctor, he actually has a Hippocratic oath to do no harm, and he does exactly that. He violates her in every conceivable way.
And I love that because a little bit about my personal story involves I was a paramedic firefighter for 15 years. And
thank you for your service.
Thank you. And my wife was as well. And she did suffer a psychosis, and she kidnapped me it was about 72 hours. And I was a constant fight for my life. And, so post, it was really sitting and learning all of those things and looking back over the relationship and how much of this was it was a psychosis, but it was there was so much along the way that it's just, you have to face that. You have to face a lot of things when you're going through that, and through the other side of it, about just about the experience itself. And so I really do credit a lot of my being able to understand the other side to my love of literature and reading so many psychological thrillers, and always been really drawn to I would have absolutely loved to be when I was younger, fixing to go into college. If I'd gone into college, if I had it, I wanted it to be for what we called then forensic science, right? At the very beginning of forensic science, and now it's neuroscience based, psychology, psychosis, and man, I would still, I've been thinking about it. I'm always thinking about it because I absolutely love, I just love it. Okay, we have a question for you from the
audience. I was just going to say that Torrance has a question, but you know what? Before you say the question, I want to, because it just ties into Sean's question. And it makes me think to myself that people think this is fiction, so it's not real, and they don't want to put this in their system. They don't want to read these types of books, and that's fine. It's a personal choice. But yet, you would hear the reality of this story on the news
Mhm.
of a very similar situation, and you would be glued to the television because you want to know what's happening. What's
Right.
happening to this person? How did this even happen? How did they not know that their neighbor was? How could they not have observed?
Yeah.
So where really and truly is that fine line of reality and insanity? Who figures that out? Who determines that? You know, you talk about a dementia patient. Some of us decline at the end of our lives that way.
Yes.
Is that person insane?
Right. Are they insane, or do they become insane, or is it all just a natural, and I personally have kind of wrapped around that. There is nothing that a human being has done that I too am not capable of doing, because I am a human as well, right? It's not, to me, when you come to the realization, right, that it's not, what happens when you can't say that it's a monster? What happens when you can't say that it's a demon? What happens when you can't say all of those things that personally I grew up with in the Bible Belt, right, about supernatural things taking over and all of those things? And then what I've seen at the end of the day is that it was all just very human. And it is all very human. And I think that that's an interesting, we could talk about that for days and days and days. And we only have about 9 minutes left. So I want to try to come back to, Sharon's question. So good, Nick. It's so good. And Jack, Sharon asks, how did you develop the confidence and the courage to put your work out there, not knowing how it will be perceived? That's a great question, Sharon. Thank you for that.
Yeah, Sharon, thank you for sharing that. And that is a really great question. And you know what? It's a leap of faith. You really don't know, quite frankly. But it's like anything, Nick and you both have your own business. So you don't know necessarily how you'll be perceived, how you'll be received. But you do it because you love it. It's a love affair. And ultimately, the reward is that. And then you're helping people. And so, you mentioned earlier, just a moment ago, about this being a real world or real life scenario of manipulation, control. And we see it in the news. Sometimes it's just a 2-minute blurb, and other times it becomes a national, international story. Lacey Peterson, you can go on and on, right? Where these seemingly everyday housewives become international sensations. The Menendez brothers are still 35, 40 years after that horrendous crime happened. It's still a question of, was it the parents? Was it them? Were they spoiled brats? Were they abused? Right. And so that could, if it wasn't real, it would be too good for fiction. Right. But it is real. And so the fiction, I think, great fiction and great psychological thrillers, art imitates life, life imitates art. And so to answer, getting back to Sharon's question, it's just, if you love this topic, if you love this genre, then just start writing. And I bet you'll be amazed what you can come up with, especially if this is a burning passion. And you can study psychology. It's all out there on the internet. You can read about whatever it is you want, love bombing to, exploitation, any topic. There's so many out there, and you can weave a very interesting, very realistic story that also has meaning, because it has relevance to what's going on in society right now.
I love Jack's answer. I have to tell you, I am, I love Jack's answer because If you are passionate about something, do not let anyone rob you of that passion.
No.
We have one life, and the next moment is not promised. And is it a leap of faith to go into business for yourself? Hell yes. Is it a leap of faith for Jack to do what he's doing? Hell yes. But if his leap of faith relied solely on how he would receive, that's a problem.
Yeah.
Because, yes, I'm here and we're talking about this book. Are we marketing this book to you saying, oh, go buy it, go buy it, go buy it, go buy it, he's awesome, go buy it? No, we're having a genuine conversation
Yeah.
about our individual thoughts on the genre, and it's what you take away from it. Again, I am an odd publisher to work with. I am not chasing the sales. I would like you to genuinely identify and resonate with this writer. And if you do, then by all means, support him.
Yes.
And that's my puppy coughing in the background. It's not a ghost.
Yeah, the baby's coughing in the background. It's not a I think that this is why it's so important. I think for me, like, it's so important to know how to build courage. And the thing is, a hater's gonna hate. It's true. A hater's gonna hate, right? They just are. And at the end of the day, I think that's something that one way or another we each have to face, and we have to find our way to be able to build that confidence to do what it is. And it certainly helps. It certainly helps when you have had those that have gone before you and really blaze the trail for you. But I don't think that that's the case for you, Jack. I feel that somewhat it is, but I feel you want to do something different. You want to take this to a different new level. And so it's not always the case. So the thing about what you said that I love is it's your why. It is what lights you up. When it's coming from a place of passion, there is nothing that can stop you. And that's the greatest fire ever to play with and to get burned by, and to have to heal from that burn, and then learn how to jump in to do it again, right? Because what happens, I'm curious. You've had to experience some great understanding about yourself during this process. And it's a heavy question, but let's keep it on the lighter side. If possible, what have you learned about yourself in this process to maybe wrap around and love about yourself maybe just a little bit deeper and let go of a fear of being judged?
Yeah, that's a very interesting question. And I think it stems from forgiveness. You have to be able to forgive yourself. So much in life, a great theme from horror and suspense is the idea that we are truly fighting a battle between free will and what's already fated destiny, right? We see that in so many interesting sci-fi to other great works of literature. So much, we were born into a situation that we don't know, but likely we didn't pick. And some of us are born lucky with unbelievably stable homes, and some of us are not. Some of us are born into violence, and some of us are not. So there is a situation, I think, where you have to be forgiving of yourself. We've all made a lot of mistakes. We probably all have regrets. But if you can forgive yourself and learn to love yourself, and realize that everybody's going through a struggle, at least one, probably many, and probably very similar struggles. You might feel that you're the only one, but it's not likely. And when you read these types of great works of fiction, you're going to feel not so alone. That, what, even though this is make believe, I knew somebody like Natalie. I can relate to this character. Maybe he's not quite as sinister, but he was controlling of one of my friends. What can I do about it? So that sort of thing.
Yeah, I love that answer because I think that's the secret to life is really learning how to have grace and forgive ourselves.
Yeah.
And then we're able to actually do that for others. And that is empathy evolved.
Yeah.
So
Right.
I think that's the highest form of empathy. And I love that answer so much. So I think we have maybe about 40 seconds or so. Is there anything else that you would like to say to everyone just to kind of close and wrap us up, you or Nick, either one?
Well, it's been a real pleasure and an honor of mine to be able to speak about this incredible project. I do hope that those loyal fans who download the book are absolutely pleasantly happy with what's been written. And of course, there is a trilogy. So if you fall in love with the style, the words, the characters, it won't be over. Not yet.
I just have to say that Chandler is not only a dear friend, someone that has collaborated with me on projects and that I've hired to do work for me as well. Um, she is she's a force to be reckoned with as a hostess of a podcast. She really delivers. She thinks very carefully about the questions that she's going to ask so she can give her guests the opportunity to really share who they are and allow our spotlight to be shone on them. And so, guy named Brilliant Writers Publishing, and I know Jack and other goes. Thank you very much for your time. And of course, we would be remiss not to thank everyone that are in the audience, your great comments, your questions. And I just want to leave you with this. I support many people. It isn't that I necessarily use the product, understand the nature of what they're doing or anything like that. No. But there is one thing that really identifies for me. When somebody is passionate about something, it is impossible not to get caught up in their passion as well. You feel it. And so many have given me praise as a publisher, but I'll tell you something. It's you getting caught up in my passion because that passion is breathing in you too. So remember that.
I love that. I love that so much. I'm going to put you two down and I'll be back in the green room. If you're there, that's awesome. If you're not, that's awesome too. And I'm just going to kind of say goodbye to everyone. And I'm going to do my outro. So I wanted to just say so much again. Thank you all for reaching out and giving me love and checking on me and my recovery. And Kenneth, Crystal, Nick, of course, and Jack. It was so exciting to have you. And then out in the audience, we have Adrian and Aaron and Gabe. Oh my God, it's so good to see you. Where have you been? I swear you've been like poof, gone for like the last 6 months. It feels like it's so good to see you and everyone else out there. I'm so excited to have had you. Please come back and we can see you again here next week. I'm going to come back in. I just can't stay away. I'm not going to come back full in. I'm just going to come back in on polished. But I will mostly be out for another 4 to 6 weeks. While I heal. And anyways, just appreciative. Don't forget that you are brilliant. You were born for greatness. And most of the time, even when you don't feel like it is that you're fulfilling that, or you feel disconnected from that, or you feel like you're blinded by your own light in those moments. I really believe that. Keep pushing, keep going. And if you're feeling extra heavy under the weight of things in the world today, don't hesitate to reach out. Don't hesitate to reach out for help. There are so many people that have been in your shoes and that are in your shoes right now. And when we go and talk about it, and you can, there are safe spaces that have been created for you. Please just know that you are loved and you are precious and you have a reason and a purpose to be here. So thank you all so much. And we'll see you again next week.